3. Check. What is going on? All right, today's show, let's get into it. Fringe Frequency with your man in the building. And, yeah. Got a few stories we're going to take a look at. Alien Mothership is inbound, in case you didn't know, people. All right, but that's our job. That's why we're here. We're here to let you know what is going on out here. All right. Let's get into it. Alien Mothership. It's coming. 2025. What are people talking about out here, huh? I don't know, y'all. Let's find out. It's from the Jimmy Dore Show, YouTube.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
So that's Jeremy Corbell. He linked up with George Knapp some years back, and he's been the conduit. He pretty much has been the conduit for all of the official UFO information, all right, coming from the Pentagon and all this stuff. You know, Tic Tac video, I think that was Corbell. They green-lighted him to release that. And other, you know, and other information, other clips, and so on. So that was Corbell talking about from his sources, and he does have high-level sources in the military, allegedly, apparently, that the fake alien invasion is coming. All right, so that was Corbell explaining that. You can look that interview. I can't remember. It's in one of those documentaries. Jeremy Corbell.
This is Jeremy Corbell. He said this in January 2025. Let's listen to what he said.
But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date? People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told.
What? And slowly. So how I know it's a lie? Because it's slowly making its way. What kind of bullshit is that? Yeah, them alien motherfuckers is coming. When they gonna get here? It's gonna take them a while. I don't need no classified document. All right. To understand some bullshit when I hear it. Okay, I'm just gonna say that.
You're gonna be told that there's a craft on its way to Earth.
So I saw on Twitter over the weekend, I was on vacation, so I didn't really, but I saw some people talking about they have this new video of a crafts going towards flying around. Have you heard about this, Kurt?
No.
Yes, that there's some new video, right? Yeah, okay, let's just.
All right, so there has been, again, you have a Muamua, these objects that astronomers have recently found, these large, they don't know what they are. They don't seem to be just asteroids or comets because they seem to have deliberate movement capabilities. Okay. Muamua is one of those. So yeah, the chatter, it's out there. And we're going to get to the latest. I didn't have time to look for it for today's show, but there is some newer so-called evidence of some, there's all kinds of evidence, circumstantial evidence of shit flying around out there that people don't know what it is. But we'll get to that.
what he says.
That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. And they'll change the date, especially if they see this. Things will change. Because maybe I'm trustworthy. Maybe I'm worthy of your trust. Maybe I've told you the truth the whole way through it. Now you can verify it. If that's the case, then I'm fucking dangerous. You've been told the truth about UFOs for a long time now. It's been pretty orchestrated. It's been pretty clear. And it's using people that are telling the truth and want to tell the truth. Ultimately, they want you to know something. They want you to...
Hey, now, I do agree with them there, okay? This whole UFO secrecy thing, you know, it's been a shit show since these people started it, right? The so-called authority. They decided they wanted to keep things under wraps, so they couldn't totally keep it secret, so they started the misinformation. They started the ridicule of anybody professionally that wanted to research this subject, you know, seriously. You know, you would lose your funding, lose your job. People would make fun of you. They call you names. You know, tinfoil hats, conspiracy theorist. All this shit came out, all right, and was pointed, okay, at people that had questions, okay, about this and other subjects that we were told, again, there's nothing out there. It's just us, right? Slaves built the pyramids, all that nonsense, you know. So yeah, so I do agree with him there. And Jeremy Corbell, very interesting guy. You know, some people give him a lot of shit as far as like, oh, he's just a, you know, some kind of tool, disinformation guy. And like he said, there are people out here that have questions, that are trying to do good work, right? And they are, you know, they get caught up, and I think Corbell is one of them. I don't think anybody's immune to that. You know, you can unknowingly, you know, be used to, you know, steer, you know, like disseminate some misinformation. I mean, that's how they play the game. So yeah, you know, we're not, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's super hard on Corbell. There are other people that I will voice my opinion on. Yeah, that guy, you know, he knows he's lying, shit like that. But Corbell, I don't think is one of those guys. I really think he's got good intentions, but I have reason to believe that he is being manipulated a little bit sometimes. You know, again, what are you going to do? You're getting this information, you know, from top level sources, Pentagon and stuff. Yeah, what are you going to say? You know, you got to go with it. You got to do the best you can. So, you know, we support Corbell, what he's trying to do. Unless, you know, something happens to change my mind, but yeah. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, people?
You know UFOs are real. Thank God we're finally there. We're all there now. They want you to know the truth. Why they want you to know that truth now?
Which is what I brought up to Joe Rogan. Not the last time I was on, but the time before. It was when he had on a Navy pilot, who was now on his show saying that he saw these UFOs and how they moved, and they didn't move like any craft ever. And I said, Joe, they've been seeing UFOs since they started flying. What?
Yeah, very, very good point Jimmy Dore made right there. Again, so the whole controlled narrative part of this, basically the Pentagon, you know, when they decided, okay, we're going to start sharing information with people. And what was the first thing they did? They started in what? I think 2014 was that Tic Tac video. So we're not going to address anything previous. We're going to start there. And that's what they did, UAP. And then what did they do? They changed it to UAP as far as what they're going to call it, right? Now that officially it's being investigated. Unidentified aerial phenomena, you know, ARROW, you know, all these different, how many investigative departments that they set up so far. Like, yeah, the point, and I agree with Jimmy Dore, is none of this is new. Okay, these pilots, commercial, military, regular witnesses, people, military personnel at sea, regular civilian personnel, again, all have been seeing these unknown craft, all right, for decades and decades, right? So the whole idea that it's new, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, but the way they're, again, because they're not talking about what are you going to do if you're the if you're the government? Can you really just say, okay? I mean, the only thing you could do is say, yeah, we know. We've been bullshitting you guys this whole time since 47. We've been calling people liars and making excuses, and yeah, we did all that, but now, you can trust us. We're going to tell you the truth. I mean, in my opinion, that's the only thing they could do. I mean, if they were serious about being truthful about this shit, that's the only thing you could do. You got to admit all the fuckery you're responsible for damn near 80 years or whatever it's been, right? What's up, Mario? Mario says, I had questions about this when I saw those four metallic objects flying towards me. Where were you when you had your sighting? Said they were quiet. Flying. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, we talk to people all the time. That's what I mean. People have, and not just, it's people everywhere, all over the planet, right? Have been reporting these sightings, documenting them, for the better part of 60, 70, 80 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah, and the thing is, the main thing is with this stuff for me is to let people, like you, Mario, and other people that do share, their experience with us, like, look, because a lot of people were deterred from doing this, right, over the years because of the ridicule involved, and who started that shit? Yeah, the fucking government shills, the debunkers, and all this other, it became, it was not worth the trouble to even talk about this subject, right? For a lot of, so that's how they try to manage it. But, it's 2025, information is flowing, and they really can't, they can't control it like that. If you're like me, you don't give a fuck about what people call you or some kind of name. That's not. Look, we don't know everything. So there are still people out there that say, oh, come on. What do you mean UFOs? Oh, come on. What do you mean? What do you mean Bigfoot? All I know is I talk to people all the time that have seen it. People have sent me pictures they've taken, we've heard recorded sounds of something out there. So, again, if it's too much for you to deal with, just say so. But when people say, that's not real, you're fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else, because you don't know. Just like I don't know. I don't know if it's real, but people are experiencing something. So what are these people, just full of shit? They're lying? Well, that's what they wanted us to believe all these years. That's how they, again, discourage people from talking about stuff like this. But, we ain't doing that shit no more. People are seeing shit, and they're sharing their experience. And yeah, we're here, we're here to report and observe and to listen to people and not dismiss, what people experience. Too many people have been experiencing strange things, and they're strange only because what have we been told our whole life? It's this in this box. You guys are in this box. don't go out. There's nothing else outside of this box. You just stay where we tell you, and you'll be fine. Okay? If you're like me, you've been around for a minute, you learn that, hey, a lot of this shit that we were taught ain't right and exact, Yeah, again, people have their different opinions on what these aliens might be. Are they spiritual? Are they physical? Trans-dimensional? Again, who knows? Nobody knows for sure. But one thing we do know for sure is people are experiencing something out of the ordinary, right? The ordinary that we've been told, all these years. So yeah, we just encourage people that, to not be afraid to share their experience, because there's nothing, you shouldn't feel any kind of way about having an experience like that. It's very traumatic. I couldn't imagine if I saw a Bigfoot in person. That's got to be, a terrifying experience. And I've talked to people that have, and so yeah, we don't give anybody shit. People see what they see and experience what they experience. We believe people when they tell us stuff. Most people. Yeah, we have went through a lot of programming. That is true. Fresh, welcome in over there on Kick. Appreciate you.
Why now is the Navy allowing these guys to validate that there are UFOs? Why do you think that is? And he was like, "But it is real." I go, "I'm guaranteed. I'm sure it's real." Why they're doing it now? Because they wanted to fund a space force. That's why they had to find new ways to spend money, just like the Golden Dome that Trump.
Oh, the Golden Dome. What happened with that?
Trump is going to build. It's not going to save us from missiles. It's going to be a surveillance state. So it's all this, and so that's why they're
Jimmy. Yeah, that guy.
So that's the question. Why officially now is the government so interested in telling people about UFOs, right? We're going to call them UFOs. Fuck all the dumb shit, UAP. They're UFOs, okay? And I do agree with Mr. Jimmy Dore on that. To some extent, Trump announced the Space Force on his last term, right? Remember when he came out and announced that? Oh yeah, we're gonna do the Space Force, like it was brand new. Okay, we called bullshit on that. I mean, if you're rocking with us, the military has been in space for a very long time. Okay, you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to be a scholar. These motherfuckers have been fucking around up there for a long time before they announced it. A few years ago, right? So I do agree with Mr. Jimmy Dore there. They're gonna roll it out and try to manage it like they do with everything. Okay, yeah, there's something flying around, and we got to make sure we can stop them, from being hostile. And I get it. I'm not saying hey, motherfuckers are out there. If they're anything like us, then yeah, we should be worried. I'm not too worried, and here's why. Because they've been buzzing around and for a very long time. And to our knowledge, they haven't really done any harm, right? So I'm not too worried about the aliens. I say this all the time. I'm not worried about the aliens, man. We got enough we got enough weirdos around here to deal with. Never mind the aliens. The aliens ain't did shit to me. I can't show you. Has the alien ever showed up and stole some shit from you? Or So yeah, that's my opinion on that. Aliens are my last worry. Not saying we shouldn't be, cautious. I'm just saying they ain't done shit this whole time. So what's going on? So yeah, very interesting. Yeah, Fresh, I will say this, all right? So about the ramp up in the rhetoric coming from, the military, the Pentagon with UFOs and stuff. I will say this. There are some people that have the opinion and that theorize that they know something's coming that they cannot, as far as extraterrestrial, whatever. Everybody's gonna, like, some shit's gonna be revealed that they cannot control, and that's one theory of why they're rolling it out mainstream now, trying to get people acclimated, right? That makes sense to me. Is that 100%? I don't know, but that makes sense. They are aware. When I say they, the authority, they are aware of something that's probably going to happen. Okay, as far as people knowing, okay, they're gonna start seeing more shit. Something's gonna happen that they can't stop people from knowing about. And so, in order to try and get ahead of that, the idea is, the theory is that we're gonna roll it out, try to control the narrative, and all that nonsense. We know how that game is played. So yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Appreciate you, Fresh Fitman. Yeah, just followed. Hey, appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. Something's coming. What's that? Something's coming, and they know. Yeah. I agree. I agree with that because that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but we try to go with what makes sense, right? And yeah, that makes perfect sense because we do know, okay, from these people's actions in the past, the authority, we know how they do things, we know how they operate to some extent, and so yeah, that makes perfect sense that they would try to, control the narrative as much as they could before whatever happens. Like I said, so that makes sense. Something's going to happen where people are going to have to deal with this other aspect, okay, of us, and our relationship to the universe. Like, yeah, there's other people out there. Like, I don't know why. Again, some people, it's going to be hard for some people, but the government ain't gonna save you. I can tell you that 100%. 100% facts. The government ain't gonna save nan motherfucker out here.
Hey, he's not wrong what he's saying, but hey, Slowpoke, I'm glad that you finally figured out, because I mentioned on Rogan's show with his documentary, or the other guy's UFO documentary, where all the government people are like, disclosure. It's John Brennan and James Clapper. Oh, I'm sure them two want to come clean about the spacemen. I'm sure they're going to give you an accurate idea. So I guess he just figured out that no, they will not. And he put a great set together to tell you the thing you already knew. Why do you need them to disclose anything? You can find out whatever you want. All you got to do is not believe them ever and assume they're lying and the most evil people in the world. And the story comes right together. It's actually incredible.
Well, that's what
Hey, he's 100% on point. I don't know who his co-host. I don't know what his name is. 100% agree with him. We've been saying this. Okay, there are people out there in the space that have been doing the research, okay, doing the work as far as documenting and and sharing this information about the history of UFO encounters, just with the military. Richard Dolan is a guy that's been doing that since the early 90s. Has a ton of good books out on it. He's in bunch of different documentaries. Follow him on YouTube, Richard Dolan. All right, we're going to be looking at some of his stuff soon too. So people like that have been doing the research, so that we could have a better understanding of what's going on. Again, the military encounters. This is all stuff that the military has documented. That guys like Richard Dolan, do the information, freedom of the FOIA requests, and they go through all this information, and then they share it with the public. All right. So yeah, 100% agree with that guy. We never needed the Pentagon to tell us that UFOs exist. We already, if you're rocking with us, we already knew that shit, right?
I remember when I was at the Young Turks on a panel, and Cenk Uygur asked me, he's like, well, how can you tell what's real and what's not from the government? I go, well, my jumping off point is they're lying. That's what,
Cenk.
and they all laughed. And I'm like, no, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say, okay, I know the government's lying. I just have to find out where. What's the lie?
100% agree. 100% agree. Assume if it's coming from politicians or assume they're fucking lying and do your own due diligence. Yeah, I think most of us could agree with that. What's that, Fresh? Think whatever it may be won't be coming here. Perhaps just passing by. Yeah. Who knows? Like I said, it's anybody's guess, man. It's anybody's guess. But something because of the way people are behaving. When I say people, I mean authority, and all this. We're seeing a lot of wild stuff coming from these politicians. Again, how they just went from there's nothing to see here, UFOs, no, you're hallucinating. They went from that posture to now they want us to believe they're serious about investigating this subject. And I agree with Jimmy Dore. Yeah, no, I think you guys are full of shit. And, you're doing this for your own reasons, those of which I'm not clear on. It really don't matter because I know you're full of shit. So we just got to keep on doing what we have been doing, is doing our own due diligence, trying to, get information and, come to our own conclusions about things. That's all we can do, right? Is look at people who are doing the work, presenting, the evidence, and then it's up to us to make our own conclusions at the end of the day, right? So, yeah, when somebody raises their hand and says, Senator so-and-so, I know what's going on. Yeah, bant, wrong. We already know you're full of shit.
Wait, Joe knows all that. He's a very good interviewer. So it takes the position of person that doesn't know anything so that you can tell them the stuff.
That's right.
And so if you have good information, people respond. If you're like that phony Mike Baker CIA minder that shows up, because the Epstein thing's a goddamn embarrassment, the guy from the CIA always shows up and says nothing about anything, but he's there for some reason. Even a person that's like dumb, even the channels that criticize podcasts for a living notice it. They have running jokes that his cigar has he's changing the batteries in the surveillance at Joe's studio. And they all go, oh, Joe doesn't seem to know. Yeah, he doesn't. Joe is a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not stupid. He knows that you can watch and see who's wrong. Without him, their own weight. The principles of jiu-jitsu. Douglas Murray failed under his own weight.
That's right. Let me see the end of this, what this guy says.
Hope I'm wrong, but it's terrifying. Think about it. Maybe it's good to get ahead of it. Call it out now before they do it. I'll be called crazy. That's okay.
Who is
the music? Dramatic music.
Jeremy Corbell, do you know that guy, Kurt?
Yeah, he was talking about the Tic Tac thing, and he was on with Bob Lazar. See how it's all like shot and dramatized, and like it's taking away from, because he's very slow to this shit. She's full of shit. These are all just like Democracy Now! Amy Goodman is compromised. Yes. Obviously, all these people that have done good work are compromised. The ones that are not compromised, that's who I like to see. So go watch Dark Journalist. The guy does killer work.
So here it is. This is what I was talking about. Possible hostile alien threat detected in unknown interstellar object. A shocking new study claims. That's from July 20th.
Coming from the New York Post, so it's got to be reliable, right?
25th. That's what I saw.
Yeah. Thank you, Israeli scientists, for hey, Stephen Greer.
Was that Avi Loeb? I think and he's been talking about this type of stuff for a while. I think that's who that story was about. Again, you gotta, you got to do your diligence, people. This subject, this UFO subject, okay? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of information, all right? And I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know shit, all right? I'm just trying to get out here and learn what I can so I can have a better understanding of what might, what I think might be going on out here. So I'm not, like I said, there are a few people where I'm like, not even going to, they're full of shit. But there are a lot of people, again, that have good information and, again, might be manipulated, okay, in certain ways that they're not aware of as far as, the games that are being played out here with this shit. We didn't make this shit up. Like, why are these people doing this? So the fact that they are going through these lengths to try and mislead people with, again, the information, and the bullshit, but they're going to have some truth in there, and then they're going to wrap some more bullshit around it, and then they put some truth. That's the way it's been. That's the way this subject has been, as far as people trying to research it and get to the, kind of close to the truth or some better understanding of it. So there's obviously something going on, since there are a group of people that are going to great lengths to discourage and to, misinform people about the subject, right? What do you guys think?
Is probably in all likelihood a Mossad guy, because you notice the aliens are so peaceful and they don't like Belushi and they don't like nukes and they don't like us how violent the Humies are. Do they have any feelings on the Gaza genocide, the aliens? You never hear that, do you? The aliens weigh in on Gaza, where they're like, whoa, I don't want to weigh in that.
And there it is. A mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists.
They actually gave a fucking, they actually said in November. Wait a minute. What is he looking at? Is he looking at X? I'm assuming. What is he looking at? Again, what is this shit? July 25th. Mysterious intergalactic object could potentially be hostile. Alien spacecraft. That's slated. Now, see, here's where you can call. If you're like me, you could shit like this. The language people use, very important. I'm learning. Okay, so when they use certain words and the way you can tell they're full of shit right off the bat. At least in my opinion. Possibly be a hostile alien spacecraft that's slated to attack our planet in November, according to a new study by scientists. New York. I'm assuming NYP is New York Post. So how do you know it's November? You see, that's what I mean. Like, again, with the bullshit. These people, like, I don't know if they do it on purpose. So they want us to know they're full of shit, or yeah. It's pretty wild out here. All this nonsense going on.
So
they're doing that. So what that guy said is they're doing, right? They're doing it.
And to reiterate his point, Corbell said that in a documentary like last year or something. But again, these rumors of the fake alien invasion, the PSYOP and all this shit, that's been out there for a long time. But Corbell did state that specifically. I think that was a year or two ago, that interview that he watched first.
What he's referring to, I don't know the specific thing about a big ship, but you've probably heard of Project Bluebeam, which is the old plan to fake an alien invasion. Okay, but that's not technically correct what that plan was. That plan was to create a religious event that could be an alien invasion, or it could be end times, Revelation, Schofield Bible nonsense. So think of it like focus group.
So if you've been around, you might have heard of that theory, Bluebeam, right? The holograms, okay, using satellites, project whatever, make it look real to people. And yeah, that was one of the alleged ways they were going to use it, make it look like Jesus, white Jesus coming back down to earth to get, people riled up, Tupac, who knows? So yeah, that rumor and theory about Project Bluebeam. Now they can project holograms. Okay, they can do a lot of things. All these satellites. What do you think? All these satellites. It ain't for. Well, they got Elon Musk talking about Starlink. Yeah, we want to help everybody get internet. Yeah, but there's other shit they're doing with these satellites, right? And so we covered a story some years back. China actually created an artificial moon using a satellite and reflecting light. They did. This is the story, and it's the weirdest story. That's years ago when we were doing our show on Facebook Live. But China actually, they post, I don't know, it's one of them, New York Post, whatever. We got the article, and what it said was China created an artificial moon that was bright enough to light up the city at night. And this is the weird part about the story. They said they did it. Okay, they put this artificial moon satellite in orbit over China so it could light up the city at night so that they could save money on electricity, so that they wouldn't have to use all the lights to light up shit. And I kid you not, man. If that just popped in my head. If I had that article, I would pull it up, because that's the weird shit these people put out here. Okay, that's just an example, but that is 100% that was reported some years back, and I only say that to say this: they obviously are doing things with these satellites other than internet. Surveillance, sure. Obviously, weaponry of some type. Even though there's not supposed to be any weapons in space. But now that they launched the Space Force a few years back, now they're openly, now they ain't got no problem telling us they got shit up there that'll zap your ass. Okay, you can look all that up. If you want some good information on the Space Force and what they're doing, follow their X account, follow their Twitter account. I think it's American Space Force. We'll be taking a look at. Yeah, they just putting all that shit out there now. They call it war fighting, space war fighting. Like they're like, yeah, we out here and we tearing shit up. Yep, we got all kinds of shit on space now. The Space Force Twitter account, I got to find it. I'm following them. I was following them for a while because it's very interesting, the shit they post. Again, if you want to know anything about what these people are doing, just find them on Twitter or X, and they're telling you what they're doing. They're not hiding anything. Yeah, Space Force. We got to look at some of their tweets on the next episode here. Very interesting what they're doing, what they're telling us they're doing.
Groups. If they really go for this, which, what a pathetic display that'll be. They are desperate. Because to come out with where people, you could show someone a video of you hanging out with an alien, they're going to go, that's fake at this point. No one trusts these people anymore. I don't even tell people not to trust them. As soon as you see all the production value behind I think this may happen pretty soon. In fact, that is so phony the way that's shot. Maybe it's some weird thing where they watch it and
But Kurt, he's telling us.
And so that's what I was saying. Like, some people are real hard on Corbell, as far as thinking like he's a total shill, like he knows he's lying about shit. He's, disinformation guy. I don't think so. I disagree. I really think, again, he's a guy like any of us, in the space that are, trying to find out what we can about the subject, try and make sense of it. He's a guy that, I don't know how, like I said, some years, but he did. So I get why people think he's a plant. okay, a so-called plant, because he kind of just came out of nowhere. All right, nobody ever heard of him in the UFO space, and there are names, okay, in the investigative space out here that if you're rocking with us, you are familiar with. Richard Dolan. What's his name? Jim Mars, man, he passed away a few years ago. Billy Carson, another guy, been out here doing all kinds of work and research and sharing it with the public. So there are names that have been around, okay, in the space. And Corbell was not one of those names. He just kind of popped up a few years ago, relatively, And he kind of, again, because it's not that he just popped up, but he popped up and then he had access to what seemed to be high-level contacts in the military, in the Pentagon. Like I said, they tapped him on the shoulder to release, I'm pretty sure it was the Tic Tac video. I think Corbell released that, and the Pentagon said, yes, it's real, right? From what I remember. That's how that all – so that's why some people give Corbell the side eye. This came out of nowhere. I tend to give him a little more credit. And again, in the course of that, he linked up with George Knapp, okay, one of those guys that you have heard of. He's been investigating UFOs since, the mid-'80s or whatever. He's the one, in case people don't know, or if you might not know, broke the Bob Lazar Area 51 story, okay, George Knapp, Las Vegas, okay. That's all George Knapp. George Knapp, responsible for all that. The modern era, right? Government secrecy, Area 51, all that shit. Bob Lazar, yeah, that was George Knapp, right? So Corbell pops up out of nowhere, seemingly, with this, credible information. And yeah, some people think he's a plant. I don't think so. I think he's a guy that, I think his intentions are, he's just trying to get to understand as best as he can, right? And like I said, it's pretty wild out here in the UFO space, if you've been learning about this subject for any length of time, it's pretty interesting stuff that goes on.
It's about a thing they're actually doing right now. They're actually this right here.
Yeah, people before him said it. It's almost like Jake Tapper saying Biden might have been a little slow.
So he's not saying that there's a UFO coming. He's saying they're going to tell you this lie that a UFO is coming.
A lot of people said that way before him while he was in the aw shucks mode. But he could be
True.
sincere. I'm just saying, I heard Ukraine's not winning too. Like, whoa, whoopity-doo. All the time you spent on your fancy studio, you could have told me that shit just in a tweet or something. The production value takes away from the credibility to me.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Rejuvenate coffee.
I understand totally what he's saying. Again, I'm the same way with some of this stuff. If it's too dramatic, and yeah, that doesn't help. That really doesn't, at this point for me, yeah. It's like, the dramatic music, and it's like, gee whiz. But yeah, like I said, we ain't writing Corbell off as a 100% plant yet, I haven't seen anything that would point me towards that, that conclusion on him. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the chat. All right, let's get on to our next story here. Let's see what we got. What do we got coming up next? This is a good one. TikTok dancers, police, and Netflix. All right. Yes, this is a weird story. Perfect for our show here, Fringe. The Fringe frequency. So TikTok dancers, police, and Netflix. Let's see what's going on with this.
And with breaking news from Tujunga, federal authorities have served search warrants at a home tied to the Netflix documentary Dancing for the Devil about an alleged cult.
Yes, several people were seen in handcuffs during the operation. KTLA5's Kimberly Chang live now in Tujunga with details on the investigation. Kimberly.
Hi, and just a few moments ago, we saw a caravan of vehicles leaving this property, 10 from what I could count. If you take a look behind me, you can see the gate is knocked down. This is on the 7700 block of...
Damn, knocked the gate down, huh? Batter ram. Took the batter ram in that motherfucker.
Rorty Street in Tujunga. It was raided earlier this morning. This is where a search warrant was served. Now, take a look. Sky 5 overhead this morning, and we could see several people apparently being detained on the property. Now, sources confirmed to me that this property is owned by Robert Shin and is the same home featured in a Netflix documentary called Dancing for the Devil. It's also well known among neighbors who told me that more than a year ago, flyers were passed around letting them know about the serious allegations involved and telling them to look up that information.
Anybody heard of this Netflix series? Yeah, this is my first time hearing about this. Netflix series, huh? About TikTok dancers. I think it has something to do with like this guy, like he started some kind of agency or something. Like I guess the people live there. I don't know. Interesting.
Now, neighbors say early this morning they saw a large law enforcement presence. They say authorities broke through the gate to enter. The FBI, sheriff's personnel were part of this operation. And according to El Monte police, the search warrant was served and involved allegations of tax evasion, sex trafficking, mail fraud, and money laundering. The Postal Service and FBI are leading this investigation. Now,
is that him? Holy shit. So they trying to get him on some tax evasion type stuff, huh? What was he doing? When it comes to the thirst factor, man, I mean, you really don't need to swindle people out of their money. They'll give it up. You know, if you got broads dancing and if you got some kind of operation where you they'll just pay. What do you got to do wire fraud and shit for? I don't understand. That's weird.
This investigation. Now, it's not clear if there's a connection, but the home, as I mentioned, was featured in a Netflix documentary called Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult, which focuses on TikTok dancers who join a management company and its associated church. The film accuses...
Now, this is interesting. Okay. We live stream on TikTok, and yeah, I am with a creator agency. They do not have a church. This is news to me. Again, I wouldn't. They would have said, "Oh yeah, by the way, you got to join our church." I'd have been like, "Yeah, no thanks." Right? This is funny. When did this come out? I just heard it. This is my first time hearing about this. This is a very interesting story. So I do know how agencies work on TikTok, right? So basically they're there as, you know, as your they are your direct line of contact with TikTok. If you have an issue as a creator, if you have an issue with your account, the AI moderation, you know, gives you a ban for no good reason or something. You know, you need to get something fixed. That's what the agency is for. They, on your behalf, they reach out to TikTok and take care of any issue you have. But yeah, what's this all about? A church and an agency? Good Lord, I might have to. It's a docuseries, huh? I might have to check that out.
Shin of running a cult via his talent management company 7M Films, as well as his church, Shekinah Church, where he serves as a pastor. Last year, 7M Films denied the allegations in the film and called the documentary a slanderous work of fiction and said the company was taking legal action. Earlier, we spoke with a former dancer from the documentary. Take a listen.
we're very happy. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and we hope that justice is served and that people responsible for hurting a lot of people, over the years end up in jail.
Now, an attorney
What? What the hell? Yeah, what the hell's going on?
representing plaintiffs who sued Shin sent KTLA a statement saying, in part, regarding this search warrant, we are gratified that the federal government is investigating Robert Shin and look forward to our clients and his victims receiving the justice they deserve. She said the trial is set to begin October 27th. And back here live again, you are looking at gate which was knocked down during this raid earlier this morning. Again, several vehicles left the property. We haven't seen much activity since. At this point, it's not clear how many people were arrested. We have reached out to the FBI for comment and more information, and we'll let you know when we hear back. For now, reporting live in Tahunga, Kimberly Chang, KTLA 5 News.
All right. TikTok, huh? Robert Shin. That's my first time hearing about that. So he ran an agency on TikTok, and he has a church. Again, you got to be careful, people, okay? You got to be careful out here. I mean, we say it, but maybe it's because we come from a different time. You got to use your common sense. But I don't know. Is that even a thing anymore? When it comes to, following your dream, following your passion as an artist, I get it, okay? You really want to be a dancer in this case. There was dancers, and I guess, okay, you joined this agency on TikTok as a creator, and okay, you're a dancer. Okay, we're gonna help you, with your career on TikTok and help you, grow your audience and all. That's what the agency is. That's what they're supposed to do. Talent, agency on TikTok, right? Just help you, grow your audience, do better content, and help you make more money, right? But you got to be careful. You got to, if somebody says, yeah, we can help you grow your audience here. You can be successful, help you get, jobs outside of TikTok and in film. And oh yeah, by the way, I got this compound in California. You can come out, if you really want to level up. I'm assuming like this is how it worked. Like, yeah, come on. You can stay. You can stay on our. We got space. You can stay out here. Train, work. Again, what's going on? And yeah, we got a church. Be a member of our church, and you just got to be careful, people. You got to be careful. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that. You just got to, certain situations, if it don't sound right, don't feel right, probably not. You probably shouldn't be getting involved. Yeah, all people are honest. Exactly. What's up, Duke? Yeah, gotta be careful out here, people. Gotta use, if it don't feel right. Hey, look, we know we know when some shit don't sound right or feel right, man. And that's all you need to know. Go with your feeling, man. Yeah, oh, come on, yeah, the church. But see, like I said, some people really get themselves into situations like this because they want whatever it is so bad. In this case, I want to be a professional dancer. I want, everything that supposedly comes along with that. If you're rocking with us, we've been around long enough to understand, the fame and celebrity shit ain't all it's cracked up to be, right? We all know that now. We've been around long enough, okay? But I get it. Young people might not understand. So, everybody got to learn, at their own pace. But yeah, you just got to be careful. Got to be careful. That old saying, if it's too good to be true, probably is, right? All right, Black Knight Satellite, man, our next topic. Or oh no, oh shoot, hold up. Hold up, I didn't have it ready. Hold up, y'all. All right, we're going to take a look at a clip from, this is Billy Carson and Cliff Dunning discussing the Black Knight satellite and some reasons why. This is Billy Carson explaining why, he thinks it's something other than, I guess the most common explanation for this thing that's in orbit. It's been in orbit around Earth allegedly since before there was anything in space. Like astronomers saw this thing before people actually sent satellites. So, and yeah, Billy Carson's going to go over some of the characteristics that point to it not being natural or space junk or whatever, the excuse is as far as to debunk it. The Black Knight satellite. Let's take a look.
Simply the body of a rocket. Talk a little bit about the early detection of what eventually became known as the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of occurrences where this object it made its own course correction.
Yeah.
So that takes away ice crystals, the ice particle theory. That's gone bye-bye. The spent booster rocket stage, explanation, blow that away because they can't change course correction. There's a couple of times that this thing's actually changed course, according to witnesses. One, believe it or not, when Sputnik was launched, supposedly, according to the Russians and everyone who was watching the sky, this thing made a course correction and followed Sputnik for a period of time. It also left.
That's interesting. So again, for those who are not familiar with the Black Knight satellite subject, it's this. They call it the Black Knight because it looks like Batman's spaceship, right? That thing Batman flies around in. That's what it looks like. Okay, there are pictures of it. Apparently, it's been there. It's been in space since people have been able to. Astronomers have been able to look and see shit in space, and yeah, they found this thing again before Sputnik was the first man-made satellite, right? And so, from what Billy Carson is saying here, after they launched Sputnik, apparently somebody observed this Black Knight satellite following Sputnik after it got into orbit. So, which is again very interesting to me.
A equatorial orbit and went into a polar orbit at one point and sustained a polar orbit.
And that's very difficult to do because no one had done it up to that point. So, yeah.
So another characteristic he's pointing out there that points to it not being natural or just space junk because it was going around the planet, the equator, basically, right? For a while, and then it changed its trajectory to go this way in a polar orbit, which is around the top and the bottom, so around the middle, equatorial, and then top and bottom, polar. So apparently, this thing has done both. It has orbited the Earth equatorially and then in a polar orbit as well. Like I said, very interesting.
That's incredible. And if you look at, you study ancient civilizations, you just look at, for example, the Giza Plateau and the Great Pyramid, you understand that in order to encode that much knowledge and wisdom and understanding into that plateau and how it's a mirror of the interplanetary solar system and everything else dealing celestially, you'd have to have a polar orbiting satellite, number one, to be able to gather enough data on Earth to even create build the Great Pyramid, because it's it's in the center of the land mass of the Earth.
Right.
At the center of the Earth, but the center of landmass. You need a polar orbiting satellite for that. It also can calculate the distance from the Earth to the moon and the Earth to the sun. It has all this encoded into the structure itself, and it's built at the average height of the peaks on Earth. Well, you need a polar orbiting satellite to scan all the peaks and then divide them by the average height to get the number to say, okay, now let's build this pyramid at this height. That all requires a polar orbiting satellite. And so this thing is intelligently designed, intelligently made, as far as I'm concerned. And it's been up there, and it's made a couple of course corrections that we know of, according to witnesses and accounts, which, like I said, it blows a lot of the debunking information away.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because you spin a.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Duke. Yeah, NASA. Yeah, they just say it's space junk, but if it's space junk and it's been up there since the first man-made satellite, then whose space junk is it?
A lot of time on this documentary talking about the Epsom Bullis constellations, Buddhists, excuse me. And how did you track the two? I mean, I know that there was some signals that various, I don't know if it was Tesla or somebody. Talk a little bit about the connection where this unmanned satellite may have come from. Yeah.
Well, in 1953, some ham radio operators detected the signal from the Black Knight and started playing around with decoding this signal, and were successfully able to decode it. And I say successfully because somebody else did it later on, and it came back with the same information, that it was giving off a signal of a constellation named Epsilon Boötis, the Boötis constellation. And what's interesting about that is it was giving off the location of that constellation, where it was in the sky, according to precession of the equinoxes, about 13,000 years ago. 11 to 13, depending on the way you translate it. Right. Now,
so again, there's a lot. Like I said, this space, okay, UFO, you know, I almost said UAP. We're not going to call them UAP. We're going to call them UFOs. Lot of information out here, you guys. So yeah, this Black Knight satellite, again, people have been looking at it, observing it, reporting on it for a long time. 53. So he's talking about some astronomers. Now again, do your own due diligence. I'm just going off of what Billy Carson is saying. Okay. But if what he is saying is true, the information, and I have no reason to believe it's, not true, because I've heard this reported by other people, not just Billy Carson. But if in 1953, people were detecting signals coming from this thing, and then they determined it was coming from some constellation somewhere, again, what's going on? What's going on? There's a lot going on here, right? Very interesting.
Duncan Lunan, who wrote an article in Time magazine, he was a journalist, wrote an actual article in Time magazine in 1960. We caught up with him, and he's actually in the documentary. I found him in the UK. Yeah. And so I was excited to be able to get to him, and have him give his own, take.
Yeah.
But he actually decoded the signal as well. And then what's interesting about his decoding is he spelt Boötis wrong. Now, if you're going to fake this thing, why not just spell the word right? He decoded it and wrote it as the decoding came back. And according to him, it's 11,000 years from where this thing was in the sky. But still 11 to 13,000 years, give or take 1,000 years or so, still comes back to Epsilon. So I said, man, this Epsilon thing is so powerful. How can independent people come up with this same location of this constellation? So I said, because I believe that this was an all-seeing eye of Enlil in ancient Sumeria. But I said, before I say that, let me research it. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So again, and the first thing I found was that the Epsilon Boötis constellation, and according to the Sumerian tablets, has been attributed to ownership of Enlil from the Babylonian text, from the ancient Babylonian era. And I'm like,
what? So for those who don't know, Billy Carson has done over the years a lot of research on the ancient Sumerian tablets, and all that Sumerian text and that whole story that's from the Sumerian civilization that seems to tell a story of, okay, these people came from outer space, came down here, kind of genetically engineered people basically to do like the way it's told and the way I've heard him and other people relay it is that the Sumerians, which were what were their, I forget what they're called, their space name. Anyway, Anunnaki. But again, different cultures all around the planet have these types of stories where somebody came from space, came down, and either were responsible for their existence or gave them whatever knowledge. So these stories are common all throughout all civilizations pretty much have a story like this. But the Anunnaki story, very interesting because they get into detail about certain people or these alien people that actually own planets and own star systems, and they're going back and forth with each other. That's why they end up here. They're like fighting over shit. They're fighting over resources. Same shit we do. Very interesting. But so that's what he's talking about as far as Enlil. There were two brothers in the Sumerian, storyline. One of them basically wanted to control people and, didn't treat the people very nice. And then there was another brother who, it was Enlil and Enki, and they were going back and forth, right? That's the way the story goes. Again, very interesting. So much information, man. So much information in this, on this topic. That's why we like to, it's more interesting to cover than what happened today. I saw something about some tariffs or something. New tariffs. Oh, okay. What's up, Duke? Government has stuff in space. Yes. We were just talking about that a little while ago. Yeah, the government's been screwing around, the military. My bad. Military has been screwing around in space for a long time. Yeah, when Trump made that announcement his last term about the Space Force, we called bullshit on that. Obviously, if you're rocking with us, the military has had assets in space. It's what these people do. They want to control everything, right? Yeah, they want to tear shit up. They want to be able to tear shit up. So, of course, they're going to be in space. And again, obviously weapons technology in space, very important to these people. Surveillance technology in space, very important to these people, right? And for, military shit on the ground, what do you need? You need satellites, for these drones and shit, it's obvious, so yeah. Of course, the military has been screwing around in space. But again, why these people lie, and they do it even though we know. Like, they know that we know. You guys are, come on, what do you mean? Of course you guys are screwing around. But again, I don't know why these people play these games. I don't know. Again, these content streets got to eat out here, so we're here for the bullshit. I'm going to pause that one. This is a pretty long interview. We'll come back to it, though. Black Knight Satellite. Because, it's very, very interesting. Now, let's see what I got. See, what we got next on the list. Faizon Love, all right? If you're rocking with us, the classic old school mix right here. We do that live as well, you guys. If you're watching, wherever platform you're watching on, we've got replays. Our live mix show, we do that every day, live on TikTok and all platforms. Classic old school hip hop, R&B, and more in the mix with yours truly. Faizon Love, all right? One of our favorite comedians. Apparently in some trouble here. apparently in some trouble. He's got some criminal charges pending. All right, we're going to take a look at this story. Got some shizzle going on with Faizon in San Diego. Let's see what's going on. Criminal charges being pursued. Say it ain't so. What Faizon do? Got in trouble.
A San Diego County judge ruled today that there is enough evidence to move forward with a criminal trial for a well-known comedic actor. Faizon Love is charged with felony assault. The actor is accused of ripping a credit card reader off a hotel lobby check-in desk last August and throwing it at a clerk. That woman says she suffered a concussion.
Oh my God.
Prosecutors say Love was angry after a booking he made through a third-party app could not be honored. The hotel clerk does not want to be identified, but she described the incident on the witness stand today during the preliminary hearing.
That's not good. That's not good for Faizon. If he hit that lady in the head with the damn credit card reader, yeah, that's not good, man. Gee whiz. Leave your thoughts in the comments, y'all. What do you think? Did Faizon Love hit this lady in the head?
Mr. Love again was just going off on repeatedly cussing them out. Every other word was a cuss word, and it was getting louder. I then proceeded to say, okay, that's enough. And Mr. Love looked directly at me, pulled the credit card machine off, and threw it at my direction.
Love's defense attorney says that the clerk told police the night of the incident that Love threw the credit card reader between her and another coworker, not directly at the woman. Love pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Wait a minute, what? They just said she got a concussion. Now, what are you talking about? See, that's why you can't believe anything. You see how they play games? Did they just say it didn't hit her? Hold up, let me bring that back.
Charges. A trial date has now. Love pleaded not guilty to another coworker, not directly police the night of the incident that Love threw the credit card reader between her and another coworker, not directly at the woman. Love pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Okay, so his attorney is saying he did not hit her when he didn't hit her with the credit card machine. It went between the two coworkers, that lady and her coworker. So it didn't hit anybody. So that's what his defense is saying.
A trial date has now been set for January.
Have you ever heard this story?
Interesting. Hopefully, well, if they can provide evidence that he didn't hit her in the head, then he should be okay, right? Good Lord. And again, you never know with these types of cases, right? People trying to get some money. Threw something at, it didn't hit me, but wait a minute, maybe it did hit you. If we can get some money, just say it hit you, he hit you in the head. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll try and keep up with that case. But it should be easy to prove, or disprove, right? Again, the video evidence should show whether, he threw that machine and hit somebody with it, right? So hopefully he didn't. Don't want to see Faizon go out like that. What do you guys think? Man, I don't think we're not going to get to the Bigfoot footage. We got one more story, though. We'll do the Bigfoot, do some Bigfoot footage on the next episode. This one, pilot apologizes to passengers after near miss with a B-2 bomber. The fuck is going on out here, chat? Yeah.
Sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. This is not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up. You probably saw the airplane kind of sort of coming at us. Nobody told us about it, and so we continued, and air traffic. There's no radar here, so the tower is controlled, the tower does everything visually.
No radar? Where the fuck are you at? Holy shit. Man. I'm weary about planes. I mean, I've always been, but shit. You mean to tell me in 2025? What? Motherfuckers is got binoculars? Oh, look out, Joe. Hold up. There's a fucking B-2 bomber. What the fuck is going on?
So they said report about you're 6 miles from the airport. So we did that. I think he realized that the spacing wasn't going to work, and he said turn right. And I looked over, and there was an airplane, which is supposed to be on the right-hand side. I thought it was a small airplane like the one you see at the airport right now doing touch and goes. And he said turn right. I said there's an airplane over there, and he says turn left. And then by the time we read back the clearance, looked over and saw the airplane that was kind of coming on in.
So to make it even worse, they ain't got no radar. So they doing everything visually at this airport. I don't know what airport this is. Holy shit, stay away from there. And then the motherfuckers is just like, wait a minute, turn right. He's like, wait a minute, there's a plane. And the pilot says, wait a minute, there's a plane over there. All right, we'll go left, go left. Really? That's what people are doing out here? Man, I'm telling you, man, I don't think I'm going to. You just got to be careful, y'all. People just be fucking up, man, for no reason.
Converging course with us. And so given his speed, it was the military. I don't know how fast they were going, but they were a lot faster than us. I felt it was the safest thing to do to turn behind it. So sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. This is not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up, because the airport base does have radar, and nobody said, hey, there's also a B-52 in the pattern. Long story short, it was not fun, but I do apologize for it, and thank you for understanding. It was kind of not a fun day at work. So have a nice evening. Glad you
Yeah, Strong J. Thank you.
Finally.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pilot, whoever that was. Because that could have been really bad. That guy wasn't paying attention. Like, obviously the tower, obviously the air traffic controllers were not paying attention. So luckily that pilot was. That's a wild story. And so that was him just explaining it to the passengers after it happened on the plane. He's like, yeah, my bad. I don't know why they didn't tell us it was a B-52. Like, coming at us. Holy shit. And yeah, if he would have listened to the air traffic controller, he would have turned right into the shit, right? The air traffic. Did you guys catch the part in the beginning where he says, I asked the air traffic controllers telling me, okay, go right. And I told him, I said, hey, there's a plane over there. There's a plane I can't go that way. And he's like, okay, my bad, go left. That's wild, man. That's too much. Like, really? What's going on out here, people? What is going on out here? I don't know. Too much shenanigans for me. That's why I stay my ass right here. Yeah, that's some scary shit, huh, Duke? Faizon, I don't know if he's being held. They didn't say. They didn't say if he was being held. I don't think so. They didn't say they arrested him. They're saying there's evidence to go forward with the case. That's the ruling that they made today. The judge, I think it was today or recently, said there was enough evidence to move forward with the criminal case. So we'll see how it goes. No, I don't think he's going to be. They didn't say anything about him being in jail or posting bail or anything. All right, y'all. All right, yeah, I kind of stacked. Yeah, too much. Too much stacked on today's show. Yeah, the Bigfoot footage. We will get to that. on the next show. Appreciate you, Duke. Fresh hanging out with us on Kick as well, giving us a follow. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody. All right. We will be back with more. Stay tuned. Yeah, Friday night, Duke. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for stopping in. All right. I got to get going. I got to start editing this. Got to make some clips. All right, y'all. We'll be back with more on our next live stream. Appreciate everybody. We'll catch you later.